presentation will be on employment of people with mental health issues, experiences from West Bengal. Can we help her with her PPT, please?
We've been hearing about different kinds of cases, different kinds of issues on the same issue on employment, specifically on people with mental illness, mental health issues, people with mental health issues. It's not that I'm going to talk about something very new, something spectacular new. It's similar kind of experiences we have all over India, and some of the cases that And I must say it is very, very difficult to talk after the last I mean, it's not a presentation, but the conversations we had, because we were hearing from the first stakeholders now, and that is something normally we do not hear in this kind of experiences in West Bengal. Of course, employment sector I have seen are organized, unorganized, self-employment, and though I work on cross-disability issues, I have not particularly talked about so much about physical disabilities as far as blindness and hearing impairment and other are concerned. I've tried to talk more about intellectual disabilities, which as we say it's national trust disabilities, because that's a thing we talk about is it's autism, mental retardation, and in those areas. And we'll talk about psychosocial disabilities, where people have faced disabilities after some mental illness happened. And so these are the two areas I will talk about. I run an organization, I work with an organization which runs a helpline, and I'll be talking about 2-3 cases that came in last 3 months. The first case that I'm talking about now is a lady working in a nationalized bank. She's posted in a remote area of North 24 Parganas. She's working as a Group D position there. She developed some psychological problems. Within 2 months of this problem started, bank officials stops her coming, they tell her not to come to office. They do not let her enter the premises. They do not let her sign the register. And she had been denied her salary for last 8 months. And when her family member called our helpline number, so we asked the contact number of the bank and we talked to the officials. And when we talked to them, they said no, but she's now she's pagal ho gaya hai, so she may just come and become violent within the bank, and we cannot have someone like that in the office. And we have already asked the relatives to contact the union leaders, because we know these kind of cases are taken very much by the union leaders. What is very important to remember here, though we have a 1995 Act which we have been talking about since morning. We talked about UNCRPD, we talked about the Persons with Disabilities Act in the morning, but neither the bank officials nor the union leaders whom we talked to were aware of this act, and they didn't know the provisions. So if there is a law from 1995 and this we are talking about in 2010, this thing happened and people do not know about it. So what's the point on having even discussions on it if people do not know what's happening actually? The second case that I'll talk about is he's a senior officer at IOCL. He developed psychological problems. He was taken away from the field work he was into. Now he's working in the library section. But however, he is not thrown out of the job, but he is not allowed his promotion. And when he requests about the same why he's denied the promotion, the reply, the letter we have shown is, it says that because of his mental weakness. This is a letter given by his office. this because of his developmental weakness, is denied promotion. And in this case, his colleagues contacted us. It's not his family members, or he personally didn't contact us. And it's very important here that his colleagues are all with him here, and his colleagues are actually fighting for his rights. They have just taken what are the provisions of the act, and they are writing to the officials now. So it's like all his colleagues are with him, which is a positive experience, we must say. The case number 3 is a young man who gets a job in one of the leading software company of India. He has history of mental illness and he takes medicines on a regular basis. His colleagues come to know of it as he took medicine during one of the office hours. And they inform the boss, and the boss calls him and asks about what the problem is, why he takes medicines regularly. And he was asked to resign the next day. No reason was shown to him. The corporate we are talking about is famous for its CSR on disability issue and gets very coveted national level awards for employing disabled people. So, I mean, it's like something, when you talk about disability, who you're talking about. And this concerned person, he talked to us several times, he calls us quite regularly, and he says that I get a lot of, he says Shanti Pai in Bangla, that I get a lot of peace in mind while we talk to your helpline people and discuss the problem, but he didn't want us to take up a case or any official complaint or anything, because he felt that it might be a stigma for him, and he's still looking for a job, and no other corporate will be interested in taking him in further.
Especially if he's litigious. Especially if he's litigious.
I'll talk about some positive experiences which are, I think, common all over India, which we heard from the morning, which are in the unorganized sector, and places where there are quite a large number of intellectual disabled people with whom my work has been absorbed very successfully are small shops, leather factories, office peons in NGO offices, lift operators, this kind of jobs. But it's very important to remember here that all these jobs come through personal contacts and very informally done. And this also gives us a food for thought that how many jobs can we actually procure through personal contacts? It's very difficult. After a certain point, there is a stagnation, and we don't know how to, because our number of people with disabilities is quite large, and it becomes a very difficult area for us. I'm talking about training opportunities, because if we go on to self-employment, you need some kind of training. This Ministry of Small and Medium Scale Industries organize skill training workshops for different disadvantaged groups, which includes disability as one of its criteria. Turning Point is one of the NGO who's working with psychosocial disabilities. The NGO was informed that candidates with psychosocial disabilities will neither get stipend nor certificates, as this category is not included in their mandate. The officials come, they see that actually these people are getting their training in their premises, but they come and see they give stipend to all candidates, all other disabled candidates bearing these people. According to them, these people have not learned anything, so they cannot give any stipend or certificate. It's their version. Ishita, who runs the NGO, she says that I've organized stipend for them, but the people in my group who has been learning, who had learned that skill, actually are using it now, and they are making regular products, and we are selling it also. So the fact is something, the government thinks something and the organization thinks something else. I'd like to talk about experience of a parents group. Minted, which is the first registered parents group of intellectually disabled children of West Bengal. They have been working for last more than 20 years. They received seed money from NIMH Secunderabad to start a vocational training center. However, subsequently, no money is given to this organization for running vocational course, though they get the grant in it they get for running special school, and they keep on giving this. It's not that they don't apply; they keep on applying, but this thing does not come through. At present, around 25 adults with various kinds, levels of intellectual disabilities work there. They get regular stipend according to attendance, punctuality, and production. 2 of them are absorbed as full-time employee and are getting salaries, festival bonus, and all the other benefits which, like all other normal employees. Here is an interesting slide from Vocational Rehabilitation Center for Handicap, which we know that from 1976, this VRC, which is run by Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, they have I think 22 centers all over India. And as per their website, the objectives of VRCH is very distinct. They assist the disabled to develop rehabilitation plans depending on their specific needs and to assist through government and government agencies for rehabilitation services. Nowhere there they mention which kinds of disabilities will be included in their website or in their brochure. Nothing is mentioned. This thing I get when I visit VRC Kolkata. They give me a brochure. They are saying their beneficiary group should be, as the language is locomotor handicap, visually handicapped, hearing handicapped, mild mentally retarded, IQ range 50 to 70, multiple disabled, leprosy cured with disability. So it's very clear that MI group is excluded, and if the mental retardation is again, it's just mild mental retardation they will include. And it's very important to remember here that they say that we work for all disabilities and this is run by GOI, and these are the some of the issues I think we should keep in mind, that because they have a large number of, it's a lot of funds that they allocate for this kind of running this kind of centers. When you're talking about self-employment, it's very important to talk about loans. See the role of National Handicap Finance and Development Corporation, which is the organization that is working on giving loans for disabled people. We tried to get information by visits and writing to them. We didn't get much information. However, NHFDC website gives a detailed breakup of state-wise beneficiaries. It says that in the year 2011-12, number of beneficiary in West Bengal is 2, which is lowest all over India, and highest is who else but Tamil Nadu. So you can see how, it's like someone is getting more than 2,000 in some states, and in some states it's 2. It shows the kind of, I think it depends on the state nodal agencies also, the kind of programs they run, the people who are working, things like that.
2 rupees.
2 people
per cell.
2 person, 2 beneficiaries in whole 1 year. Further look into NHFDC's website, gives us some more information. It again says, talks about the credit-based schemes which include financial assistance, concessional loans, etc. Again, when you're talking about the general thing, it talks about for eligible Indian citizens with 40% or more disability between 18 to 60 years of age, and they give the income background, etc. They do not give breakup of which kinds of disabilities. Specially mentioned also are self-employment about persons with mental retardation, cerebral palsy, and autism, and Parents Association for Mentally Retarded Person. These two groups will get some specific benefits that is mentioned very clearly. This is of course a lot of lobbying went into it from Parivar and a lot of parents organizations, so these two categories were included. Disability-wise distribution of loan made during the year, the corporation aims at serving all categories, again they say. However, it has been observed that part of the loan taken is for the benefit of OH category amongst the target group. So the orthopedic handicap people are taking more loans, it seems, and they have given particular distribution. And we can see how many crores of rupees and divided. So, but the categories are very specifically OH, MR, VI and HI. In the whole annual report, it is not mentioned why no MI person have been given loan. Whether they have not applied or what is the reason, we don't know. It's not mentioned. So I think the recommendation is it's very important for us to have the clear-cut disability policies, including those with mental health issues, to be developed for organized sectors. Trade unions have to be sensitized in these issues. It's something very important that we feel. Different government departments who run schemes for all disabilities, and it's not just social welfare, not just health. There are a lot of different departments who are working, and they have to be, all the schemes have to be reviewed, and dialogues with concerned departments to be initiated. And last but not the least, the positive case studies from different parts of country to be documented, and examples of good practices should be recorded much more. And until and unless we have a good research work, it's very difficult to forge ahead. Agency, I mean, we just go there and it's like, Sawaj nahi hai, Madam Chutti pe hai, that kind of situation. We cannot start a dialogue. With the VRCs, we have started very recently, the Vocational Rehabilitation Center, and we even told them that what is the issue, because you are saying that MI is not included, and the MR group also is something very distinct, and they use the words very like outdated terms. They use like, we take only trainable mentally retarded people, and this kind of words they are using, and so it's like it is a very, I think, slow process, but it's again not only a Kolkata-based thing, it's a central government thing, and so it's been just a beginning of dialogue, I think.
I think RTI may help. If you put some questions under RTI, that will bring out, and newspapers will take up the matter, media will take up the matter. Then they start implementing once it goes to the media.
Personally, I feel for VRCs and also for NH, I mean, these are both national level thing, and it's not just West Bengal level thing, and if we can do work throughout the country. And it's one of the reasons why I'm talking about all this here is we need information from all over country and collate it, and then it's much easier to fight with them also. Yeah,
trade union thing was very important. What you mentioned, if the trade unions themselves don't know, then it means we're not very good on our advocacy.
Yeah, of course, we are not good on her advocacy, because we also tend to think that it's only TPOs or NGOs will be working, and we are not very much interested in working with the unions. I mean, if you really want to...
Actually, if you're really looking at employment, that's the first place we should go.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
From the Rangunpala Foundation India Trust. Her topic is on experience with employment and mental health. Nisreen is a very close working partner of the Banyan and BLM, a very dear friend and a supporter.
Bear with me, and yeah, this is about
Hello? And we attempt to enable marginalized communities become more vibrant by engaging in socio-economic development initiatives directed at building capacities. And I think what we always focus on is to help people help themselves. That seen in the context of today's topic, these 2 days of deliberations, I would like to contextualize it not only in the context of mental health, but across a range of groups which we can talk, we'll see. Development programs are mainly on the issues of health, education, livelihoods, community services, across population groups, including the multiple disabled. Like Vandana said, funding and supporting other organizations is just a small part of our work. We have our direct intervention programs, and among them are 6 community centers in the resource poor areas of Mumbai. One approach on a mental health focus is by creating physical spaces in the slums of Mumbai, which one has always felt that stress is one of the primary fundamental issues that leads to subsequently a lot of mental health issues, and one tries to address that across a spectrum, and counseling trainings form an integral part of our work, and the approach is then to integrate these community women in a spectrum of vocational training skills leading to entrepreneurship development. In the morning, somebody spoke about counseling in schools. That is something that we also do under our school outreach program in the areas that we work with. Next. Livelihoods and disability. Well, we have partnered a range of disability organizations and focused on building their capacities, and approaches have been different with different organizations because we don't go with a structure or a scheme in which we partner organizations. We follow a need-based approach, seeing the context in which each partner organization is trying to work. So different approaches have worked with different organizations, and like the presentation before me said that the focus is on mental health, I have taken it in a different context because I feel that physical disabilities are more visible. Mental health is an issue that has been, I think, largely unrecognized till of late, and it is also very invisible. So that is why our understanding of different people is very limited and also very different. So it's like for a disability organization like a Helen Keller, which works with the deafblind in Mumbai, we could do pioneering work for high technology. You know, like somebody said, why do we have to stick to candle making, flower making? So here, for the high functional multiple disabled, we successfully have established a computerized braille press. And it's a pioneering effort, and today we are proud to say that they make educational material which has otherwise not been available in the country. Like, you know, things like Indian Atlas. It didn't exist in tactile. What did you have in braille? You just had textbooks. Okay, and that also in a very limited manner. Here you have the human anatomy, you have India Atlas, and this is what the high functional multiple disabled have created. And as a strategy, one has tried to focus at different levels for, depending on the functional levels. For the high functional, they should have opportunities for higher incomes, just as any other person would have. And for the others at a starting level, you have the vocational training units, which later people would either place or learn or place, or whatever one chooses to call it. Another organization that we worked with, ORID, which works with the hearing impaired, one followed, actually, I don't know whether it's right to say it, many disability organizations just focus on therapy. Vocational and entrepreneurship or livelihood based and thinking of sustainable livelihoods is something that many of us till a few years back thought was somebody else's business. So we focus on our therapy, We are good at what we do and we leave the rest to others. Orid, in that sense, we had to push them towards vocational training, and they have done beautifully in the form of an individual entrepreneurship model. So different things have worked with different people. We have 3 partners in Chennai, the other 2 being Sri Arunodayam and Clark School. Here they have remained both at a level of vocational training, both as therapy and holistic education. At an individual level, if people are self-driven and they have taken it to another level, they have done it in an individual capacity. It's not been, Arunodayam is still in a nascent stage, but Clark School organizationally has not taken positions. Next. In terms of mental health, one has spoken of disability till now. When it talks of mental health, I feel that the whats and the whys for a person with mental health problems are not commonly understood. This compounds problems. Mental illness also does not get the sympathy or the empathy of other disabilities. There are more variables that livelihood interventions with people with mental illness or mental health issues have to contend with. There is no stability. When one is working with a visually impaired group, one knows what one has to contend with. If it is an orthopedic disability, one can structure a program accordingly. But with mental illness, I think there are more variables, and that is why the sensitivity and the understanding needs to be that much more. The Banyan experience. Organizationally, what has always struck me is that there has been a strong focus on sustainability, having understanding that an issue like working with people on mental illness is always going to be a highly resource-intensive operation, and that is why organizationally we have to have alternate systems. And a mindset for taking risks, I think sometimes too much of a risk, and for trying out new models. And I think this was something that, in fact, having worked on the issue of livelihoods for many years, at a time when I had no understanding on the issue of disability, but what really struck me was that when we structured the whole Spice Route initiative, we put in a lone rider, that just for the sake of commitment. Otherwise you find organizations in an experimentation mode, but not wanting to commit and not wanting to be there in the long haul. But to our surprise today, I can say it when it's all over, that Banyan accepted it in first shot, and the condition was that the loan would have to be